Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, my name is George, but I go by the name Fishmonger Stories. Welcome to another edition of Fishmonger Stories. Today, I have two itty-bitty African riddles and a story to share with you. But first things first, don't forget to subscribe, like, leave a comment. It's very important in our African culture. When somebody cooks for you, you enjoy the food and you say thank you. Likewise, if I share a story with you, like the story, leave a comment, or just say thanks. When you do that, YouTube recommends the story to other people, and that helps us grow. Are you ready for itty-bitty two African riddles and a story to see if you are smarter than an average African child? Riddle number one. If you have it, you want to share it. If you share it, you don't have it. What is it? If you have it, you want to share it. If you share it, you don't have it. What is it? If you have it, you want to share it. Really bad. It's burnt. Once you share it, you don't have it. What is it? If you said a secret, yes. The answer is a secret. When you have a secret, it's burning. You want to share it. But once you share the secret, it's gone. You don't have it anymore. Riddle number two, before we get into our story. Riddle number two. What has four legs but can't walk? What has four legs but can't walk? What has four legs but cannot walk? What has four legs but can't walk? If you said the table, yes. If you said the chair, yes. If you said the bed, yes. They have four legs, but can hardly go for a walk. Are you ready for a story? Hadithi. You say hadithi njo. Opaokwa. Pakawa. Sahani. Ya mchele. Opiyuyaide. Opiyuyaide, Lukama. Opiyuyaide, Lukama. Look at me. Let me impart some story. Let me impart some wisdom upon your life. Are you ready for a story? Can I tell you a story? Boys and girls, this story comes from my ancestral land of Mfangano. Mfangano is one of those many islands in the middle of Lake Victoria. This is my ancestral land where I was born and raised. Once upon a time, in this island of Mfangano, there lived a man named Jehobah. Jehobah, he was an old, toothless, illiterate man. Jehobah, he grew up during the British colonial times when young boys and girls were not encouraged to go to school. Jehobah, he grew up during the British colonial times when young boys and girls worked as a kitchen boy for the British colonialists. Jehobah also fought for the British during the Second World War, and he lost all his teeth. Ladies and gentlemen, can I tell you a story? So in 1963, when Kenya gained its independence from the British, Jehobah, he found himself an old, illiterate man who could hardly read or write. Old, illiterate man could hardly read or write. Toothless, old, illiterate old man who could hardly read or write. Ladies and gentlemen, can I tell you a story? Are you ready for this story of Jehobah, an old, toothless, illiterate man who could hardly read or write? But don't get me wrong. He worked for the British, and so he knew how to set up a formal dining table, but he could hardly read or write. Don't get me wrong. Jehobah, he worked for the British, and he could set up a fine dining table. He knew where the napkins went. He knew where the forks went. He knew where the spoons went. He knew where everything went. But Jehobah, he could hardly read or write. Don't get me wrong. Jehobah, he was very, very meticulous in the way that he dressed. He had one shirt, one tie, and one pair of suit that he washed diligently and pressed every day. But he could hardly read or write. Don't get me wrong. Jehobah, he was very clean, and he had an handkerchief right here in his suit pocket. But he could hardly read or write. 1963, Kenya gains independence. But here's Jehobah, an old man, too old to go back to school. He can't read or write. One day, a traveling evangelist came to the island. Oh, Jehobah, he was the first one to give his life to Jesus Christ. And he was called upon the pulpit, and he lifted up his holy hands, and he confessed Jesus as his Lord and Savior. And he said, I accept Jehobah. And everybody laughed so loudly, partly because Jehobah, he could not say the word Jehovah because he was a toothless man. And so when he tried to say Jehovah, all that came out was Jehobah. And that's why he was given the name Jehobah, because he was a toothless man who could not say Jehovah. When he tried to say Jehovah, he said Jehobah. And so people, they called him Jehobah. That was his nickname. In fact, they teased him sometimes when he walked around, and they say, hey, Jehobah, I think on it, Jehobah, a mercy, greetings, man of God, greetings, Jehobah, greetings, Jehobah, greetings, man of God, Jehobah, greetings. They made fun of Jehobah because of his pronunciation, because the way he gummed his mouth, because he was a toothless, illiterate old man who could hardly read or write. And so Jehobah, after he gave his life, he was given a brand new Bible that he could hardly read or write. Oh, Jehobah, he took his brand new Bible everywhere with him. To the marketplace, he would open his Bible, but he could hardly read it. Oh, Jehobah, when he went to the river to wash himself, he took his Bible with him. He opened it by the riverside, but he could hardly read his Bible. Everywhere he went, marketplace, he took his Bible, he opened it, but he could hardly read his Bible. Everywhere he went, he took his Bible, he opened it, but he could hardly read his Bible. One day at night, Jehobah, he cried and travailed in prayer to God and said, Katonda, 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 Namanye Kusoma, Katonda, Namanye Kusoma. Oh God, I can't read, Katonda. Namanye Kusoma, Katonda, Namanye Kusoma, Namanye Kusoma, Katonda, Namanye Kusoma. Oh God, I can't read, cried Jehobah. And clearly, the Lord spoke to Jehobah. And the word of the Lord said, out of the mouth of babes and sucklings have I ordained praises. Out of the mouth of babes and sucklings have I ordained praises. Out of the mouth of babes and sucklings have I ordained praises. Out of the mouth of babes and sucklings have I ordained praises. Out of the mouth of babes and sucklings have I ordained praises. Out of the mouth of babes and sucklings have I ordained praises. Out of the mouth of babes and sucklings have I ordained praises. Thus says the Lord. Jehovah, he didn't know what that meant. And he prayed to God for revelation. A day went, weeks went, months went. And one day, Jehovah, he got the revelation of what it meant. Out of the mouth of babes and sucklings have I ordained praises. Oh, can I tell you a story? Are you ready for a story? Jehovah, when he got the meaning, the revelation of this, oh, he took his brand new Bible and he waited at the gates of the local primary school, at the gates of Wakula Primary School, and he waited for the babes and sucklings when the children were coming out of school. And he would ask them, one child at a time, to read the Bible for him so he could memorize it. Oh, he would ask them, read for me Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy, and verse after verse, chapter after chapter, New Testament, Old Testament, Genesis, yes, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy, all the way, Matthew, Mark, Luke, John. Read for me, Matthew, Marco, Luca, Joanna, Matthew, Marco, Luca, Joanna, Matthew, Marco, Luca, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. They would read for him all the way, and you'd memorize it. You'd memorize it. Oh, it wasn't long. Chapter after chapter, verse after verse, day after day, week after week, month after month. You'd wait for these school children, Wakula Primary School. The kids got out, he give them their Bible. Please, please, read for me, 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 read. And the children, they enjoyed reading for Jehobah. Oh, they would sit there with him at the gates of Wakula Primary School and read chapter, verse after verse, every day, every day, every day. Before long, ladies and gentlemen, Jehobah, he had memorized word for word all the way from Genesis chapter 1 all the way to Revelation chapter 22 verses 21. He had memorized the entire Bible just by rote memorization from the mouth of babes and sucklings, reading for him. Are you ready for a story? Can I tell you a story? Oh, out of the mouth of babes and suckling. When Jehobah, he had memorized the entire Bible. Oh, Jehobah, he was so full of the word. He was so full of the Spirit. Jehobah, he was called to preach. Jehobah, he was called at functions. Jehobah, he was called at wedding ceremonies. Jehobah, he was a fiery preacher in the island. Jehobah was called at every occasion. It was so full of the word. Even if you said, hello, good morning, Jehobah. Oh, thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, thy soul, and thy mind. Good morning, Jehovah. Oh, thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, thy soul, and thy strength. Jehovah, it's a beautiful day. Oh, thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, thy soul, and thy strength. Jehovah, can I get you something to drink? Oh, thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, thy soul, and thy strength. Jehovah, what are you doing today? Oh, thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, thy soul, and thy strength. Jehovah, what is going on tomorrow? Oh, thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, thy soul, and thy strength. Jehovah, can you come to the wedding? Oh, thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, thy soul, and thy strength. Which means, thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, thy soul, and thy strength. And everywhere Jehovah went, this was his cry. If you met him in the road, you greet, hello Jehovah. Thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, thy soul, and thy strength. Thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, thy soul, and thy strength. Thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, thy soul, and thy strength. Jehovah, it's a beautiful day. Thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, thy soul, and thy strength. Jehovah, can I get you something to drink? Thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, thy soul, and thy strength. Jehovah, would you like anything to eat? Thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, thy soul, and thy strength. Ladies and gentlemen, Jehovah, he blessed everybody in the island. Thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, thy soul, and thy strength. Here is the fortune of a man who grew up during the British colonial era, could hardly read or write, changed his circumstance by believing and never giving up. Ladies and gentlemen, thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, thy soul, and thy strength. Never give up. From Fishmonger Stories, until we meet again next week, thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, thy soul, and thy strength. Thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, thy soul, and thy strength.